to me is a God idea, because it's gone far beyond what I even wanted it to do, you know? And so I wanted to hear your perspective on your ideas that you think are good, the ideas that you think are great, that actually do produce great fruit. But do you notice a difference when it's a God idea and it just overtakes you?
Yeah, I think that's a huge area of a topic that churches are good at doing good things, but and ministries, and historically we've been good at doing good things, but not great things,
Mm,
and we've struggled in areas of actually being creative. And what I mean by that is that we have stuck to our fundamental values, and I think that's right. But then, when drums came in, all of a sudden drums were a sin. We can't have drums in the church. When coloured lights came in, all of a sudden it was a nightclub. All of a sudden when cameras come in, all of a sudden, oh yeah, you're a TV evangelist, and all of a sudden it's like these we become stereotyped, um,
mhm.
and we go for the good instead of the great. One of the things that is a big thing for me is excellency and quality. And I believe if we do a job and if we're going to present the kingdom, then there's no reason why, if Hollywood can do it and Bollywood can do it, there's no reason to me why God can't do it.
Right.
And we tend to live in this mentality that we need to almost be like cavemen. All you need is a Bible big enough to choke a donkey. All you need is your 3 points, two hymns, two hers, and a poem, and then go on to your roast beef or your Taco Bell, kick the dog, hit the wife, keep addicted to the things of the world. But as long as you've got a
Wow.
sermon you can preach on a Sunday morning, and as long as you've got a Bible that's big enough to, choke a donkey, then you're going to be holy. And, as long as you've got your ticket to heaven of salvation, you don't need any creativity. And
Mm,
what I find is I concur with what you're saying. Sometimes what seems to be a good idea is not a God idea.
right.
And what happens is sometimes we use the God card as well.
Mm,
We use the God card. Now, thank you for asking the question, what is the God card? That is when we say that everything is God. And I don't know if you've ever come across anybody like that, that everything they do is God.
yeah.
Every piece of bread they pick up is God, and every bit of chewing gum that they seem to get off the store, and every bit of toothpaste that they pray to God for what type of toothpaste they're gonna, hey, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we've got to use our own initiative.
Yeah.
We have been created to be creative. And again, just going back to this a little bit, I want to this should tie in with school. And I believe across the globe, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in India, whether you're in America or England, this is a struggle for every child that goes to school. The teachers don't teach us about our artistic side and our creative side. I've
Mm,
only discovered that over recent years that I've got two sides. And I don't mean that I'm kind of diverse in that one minute I'm, kind of moody and the next minute I'm full of joy. What I mean is that I've got a creative side and I've got an artistic side to me. Now in
mm,
school, when you clock in at school at 8:30 in the morning and clock out at 2:30 in the afternoon, all you're told to do is sit down and listen to a teacher.
mm.
30 students in a class are all told to do the same thing. And if you don't, you're told to leave the room, you get a detention, or you lag and you drop back. If you're not living up to your peers' expectations, then you drop off. You become all of a sudden like an high school dropout. And I was never told that Denver Thompson has an artistic side and a creative side. Now, what do I mean by that? Even with my sermons, people have said to me, how do you put your sermons together? I don't know. God puts my sermons together. Obviously, I sit there and I pray and I read the Bible, and I'm the type of person that I can go to bed at 8 p.m. at night and I've read the Bible for an hour or not read the Bible at all that day, let's be honest. And I go to bed, but I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden, something creative is going on in my spirit. I wake up with a word. I wake up with a phrase. I wake up with a scripture. I wake up with some image in my mind. I get a pen and paper. I'll show you here. I've got a pen and paper here now. I've been dawdling stuff now, and I'm writing stuff down, and all of a sudden stuff's coming, and I have a pen and paper on my phone. There is numerous notes on my phone. Now, that might be that I'm in that creative side, and all of a sudden it's coming to me, but I might not be in an artistic mode or mood. It might take 2 or 3 weeks for me to be artistic, but what I'll do is I'll go back to what God gave me. It might be the word redemption. It might be the word transition. And all of a sudden, something will pop up, and I'll go back to the words. I'll go back to my piece of paper, and I'll go to it where it's wrote down. And all of a sudden, the artistic flow comes to me. It might be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be 4 o'clock in the morning. I've traveled the world. I've traveled the US and preached at conferences and done a Sunday morning. I've done a Saturday, Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday night, gone back to the hotel after eating food. And I've led there and I've gone, God, I have nothing to give. What do I give Saturday night? I've just done 3 sermons already. I've just taught all the men this morning. I've got nothing to give. Yeah, I'm prepared, but I'm like, I don't feel it's going to fit in tonight. Fall asleep in the hotel room. But an hour before the service, all of a sudden, I get this artistic side that comes to me where God just starts the flow of writing stuff down. I've not sat in a classroom. I've not sat in a prayer closet. I've not sat in a studio 8:30 in the morning and clocked in till 3 p.m. And all of a sudden, my creative and artistic side has kicked in. No, what I've done is I've been obedient to realize that every one of us, no matter who we are listening today, you might not be a pastor, you might not be a prophet, you might not be evangelistic, you might not feel like you're creative, you might feel you're just flipping burgers at McDonald's, you might feel like you're just a cleaner in a house, you might feel belittled, you might feel broke, busted, disgusted. I've got news for you. There is an artistic side to you and there is a creative side to you. The trouble is, it has never been taught that way. We don't teach it in school. We don't teach it in church. We don't teach it to our children, in our families. But we need to begin to teach this. And I believe, Jamie, this is linking in what you're saying. I believe there's a big struggle between good ideas and God ideas, simply because we haven't managed and we haven't steered our minds, our hearts and our souls and our ministries and our churches or even our relationships to understand that there is a creative side, there is an artistic side. I mean, look at love. Love is both creative and it's artistic in Corinthians 13. It's not boastful, it's not arrogant, it's not ignorant, but it is compassionate, it is loving, it is caring. So you've got a creative side and you've got an artistic side to love. So even in my marriage, I've had to learn that there are areas that are artistic and they're creative. I can have struggles in my marriages. There can be struggles with my relationships with my children, even sometimes with my leadership in church, being real. Sometimes we struggle because we haven't understood that I'm in a creative vein or an artistic vein. And so there is that side to it as well, that in order to see the beauty, we've got to realize what vein we're in. I mean, Mick Wakefield laugh about this, and some of the guys maybe listening. We had a guy that we knew from Florence, Kentucky, through Cleddy Keefe, who came over to the church in England, and Jeremy Weaver, they called him. And Pastor Ronnie could not get his head around why Jeremy worked all night and slept all day. He was artistic. He painted everything. In fact, we had a coffee shop called, it was laid out like Friends, like the Friends, the series with the coffee shop with the leather settees and that green, and it was brown and it was like that. And he was creative, and Ronnie was frustrated because Ronnie would be like, man, you're sleeping all day and you're up all night. Why are you drilling through the night? And Jeremy was like, man, he's like, it's just how I flow. And I've met several people. I've met several artistic people. And I've been frustrated with them. But I've realized over recent years, I had one guy who was an artistic painter and he was doing some stuff for me. I could never get hold of him all day. And he starts messaging me at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I've just woke up, Denver, to do your drawing. What do you want me to do? I'm like, dude, I'm studying. You're waking me up. He's like, well, it's just how I flow. And I'm like that. I can drop things at 2 o'clock in an afternoon, 2 p.m. and go, man, I'm struggling. But I can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that what I dropped at 2 p.m. all of a sudden flows and comes together. So I think we need to realize, Jamie, that there's this balance on the journey of life, and that there is the creative and there's the artistic side. And that links in really, if we want to teach a little bit, it links in with the Logos and the Rhema. Because God was both artistic and creative. And the Logos is the spoken, it is the creative word, and the Rhema is the artistic. It is that relative and the revelation that puts the skin on the bones of the Logos. And that knits it together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So you have the bone, you've got the bones of the Logos, but then you've got the artistic side of the Rhema that is the flesh. And that is what helps us now put it out on YouTube and on Facebook and put it out there in churches globally, locally as well. And obviously, no turning back for what you guys are doing. You guys, through the creative and the artistic, you put in the Logos of the bones is seeing the revelation of the skin on that, and that's how it's coming out.